Iran's foreign minister says any nuclear proposal that ignores the rights of Iranian people has no chance of success. Mohammad Javad Zarif also responded to US Secretary of State John Kerry, who blamed Tehran for failure to strike a nuclear deal in Geneva. Iran's top diplomat said Kerry's remarks cannot change what actually took place in Switzerland. Russia has also been quick to dismiss Kerry's claims. Sources in Moscow say the failure in the talks was due to lack of consensus among the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council plus Germany. Despite Kerry's remarks, Washington insists that a deal with Iran remains probable in the near future. From San Jose, I'm joined by Professor William Beeman. Welcome to the program, sir. Professor, with regards to Israel's stance, Israel says it has a shared common position with France on Iran's nuclear issue. Just how much influence does Israel have over France?
Well, it appears that Israel has a mole in the proceedings. The French negotiator in Vienna seems to have had long and close ties to the government of Prime Minister Netanyahu, including, according to some press reports, relatives who live in Israel. And so it is pretty clear that the government of Israel, which, by the way, has no seat at the table in Vienna, because Israel is not a signatory to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty and therefore has really nothing to say about these negotiations, has insinuated itself into the negotiations through the French. They also, of course, are trying to insinuate themselves into the negotiations through pressure groups in the United States. The Prime Minister Netanyahu, has sent messages to every pro-Israeli group that he can think of to try to get them to pressure their government to stop these proceedings. So it's pretty clear that although Israel does not have any direct channel into these proceedings, it's trying as hard as possible to destroy them.
So with the current trend in place, how close is the P5+1 to reaching a deal over Iran's nuclear program on November 20th?
Well, it really depends on the resolution, on the resoluteness, excuse me, of the negotiators. The United States should, in fact, want to have some kind of rapprochement with Iran. It would be a major diplomatic breakthrough. It would create a much more peaceful situation in the Middle East, and also it would unleash untold amounts of economic prosperity throughout the world. So this would be a terrific change. It would be the most important diplomatic change since the United States reached out to Communist China during the Nixon administration. So there's a big prize here for the United States if President Obama and Secretary of State Kerry can withstand the pressure that's being exerted on them by the American right wing and by the surrogates for Israel, who, as I mentioned to you before, Israel has no direct stake in these negotiations and no voice in these negotiations. Only through its indirect pressuring can it makes its desires felt.
And it's interesting, there's always a lot of hype over Iran's nuclear program, but why doesn't the P5+1 ever discuss Israel's nuclear weapons program?
That's a very good question. And here in the United States, when we've been looking at commentaries on news reports about the P5+1 negotiations, no one talks about the Israeli program. In fact, no one talks about the Pakistani program. No one talks about the Indian program. The only program that anybody talks about is North Korea, and that is only to compare Iran to North Korea. And we know that these 4 states all have nuclear weapons, and they are not signatories to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. But Israel, who claims that Iran has been hiding its program, is the only one of the 4 that is actively hiding its program. The program in Israel is an open secret, but nevertheless it is not officially recognized by the Israeli government.
Indeed. We'll leave it there for the time being. Many thanks to Professor William Beeman from San Jose. Thanks for your thoughts there, sir.